What is up, gamers? Welcome back to Doodle Empires. This is episode number 7. Episode number 7 of our Doodle Empires Middle East. A bunch of major events are going to happen in today's episode, at least that's what I'm hoping. So let's go over what happened last episode. So last episode, we saw the great rise, we saw a great war erupt, the unification of Kuwait with Qatar UAE. We also saw just an insane amount of stuff. Circassia expanding, Cyprus Iran being dealt with, the Turks becoming even stronger than they were. So, Southwestern Land will make the first move. They are probably the most forgotten country on this map, and if you forget they exist, I don't blame you. Kuwait will form a union. They want to unite with Yemen, but they know it's way too big of a nation to unite with. They will unite with Lebanon. The reason why they unite with Lebanon is genuinely because they realistically are weak, and in exchange for unifying, the Lebanese government will be forced to accept any Turkish terms. So like what that means is basically the Turks want to take over, want to like reshape the border. They're gonna have to accept that. So this is the new border. It's gonna be roughly like this, plus a bit extra land. So now Kuwait is huge. You will have this fort being built. This fort is to protect the Yemeni forces in case of a Kuwaiti attack. So we will call this Fort Northern Levant. The Yemenis will have a new leader. They will have a large expand. They will seize some small areas. They will move into the Africans. They will take Western Libya. The Sultanate of Turkey will get a large expand. They will take over all of this. The Caucasian border is changed now. They will also annex more of the coastal areas of Kuwait. And this is somewhat unpopular, but at the end, the Kuwaiti government would rather be at peace than at war. This new huge Kuwaiti empire is now in existence. Southwestern land will have a small expand. Second Yemeni Republic will get a new leader. And the Somalians will have a union. The Yemeni government will unite with South Sudan. And then the Yemenis will unite with Somalia. So all the Ethiopian countries, except for the southwestern lands, have been annexed into the Yemeni Empire. Just to be safe, they will build yet another fort. And this fort will be on their border. So they'll build it right here. And this is to protect the entrance, like some of the entrance. This will be known as another fort, another sea fort. These are like the forts they're building to protect their like ports, because they do not want enemy ships marching into here. Because they know the Yemeni government has naval hegemony over all of this. They control the exit to the Red Sea. They control the Red Sea entrance too. The Al Sinai is basically protected. The joint Iranian government that in Kuwait, they both have parts of land. A major change will happen in Iran. That being, so basically, Katsia, the leader of Iran, has repeatedly requested more autonomy or independence. So a vote is held in the Iran group, as to whether or not to militarily apprehend her for treason. The vote is held. The Turks, the Kuwaitis, and the Yemanis will vote yes. Caucasia votes no. The vote is held, and so the Kuwaiti government will tell her to meet up with them, and they'll discuss it. By discuss, they'll imprison her. So she's going. The leader of Caucasia, Darius, he will tell the people living in this area, right? They will tell them they take over this small area. So they will tell them, right? Then these guys will send over a message to the core Iranian coast, and they tell them that their leader is about to be apprehended for treason. So almost immediately, the second in command will tell us the Iranian people, and now they're getting a huge army. Like we're talking 100,000 people just joined the army to get their leader back. But meanwhile, Cassia is still en route to Kuwait, this building. While this is happening, the Iranian government will begin to make some moves, to say the least. And by moves, I mean they will start to forcefully march along this riverbank. As you can see, they will take over this area. Their army will march, and as you can see, they're on the outskirts of the city, and they are now starting to siege it. Kuwaiti government will respond with an attempt to push them back, which is successful, but it comes at great cost. The Kuwaiti army will land and cut off these troops. They will collapse. And at this point, Katia is taken back to Iran, and she makes the capital this city. And Iran is officially declares independence as the Iranian Empire, or the Persian Empire. She will be declared the Empress of the nation. And now, Iran is independent and at war with Kuwait. The Kuwait, Turkey, and Yemen will all team up to eliminate the Iranian Empire, and Caucasia will formally declare war on these three. So now we have mass war over Iran. The Persian Empire will now start to move. So they will unite their armies with Caucasia. And now they're ready. So first off, they will formally declare their new religion to be Taoism. They will accept Taoism as the new official religion. And so as a result, they will start to move. Build a castle right here. And this castle, which is right here, is designed to protect this. Second fort, it will be known as. So the Kuwaiti government will respond, and they will slam into this fort. They will retake their cities, but they will be stopped. They will take this fort, but they run out of manpower. Persians will successfully be able to gain control over these regions unofficially. So like basically the Qatar and the UAE are planning on breaking away. While this is happening, the Kuwaiti government will officially start to seize land. They will take this area, they will take this river, they will then start marching. But the Caucasian army will build a military castle right here to protect their flank. The Turkish army will also start to move. They will start to march along. They will march into the Caucasian area. Now, Caucasia is probably the most defended nation. They are probably the hardest nation to take over because of all the mountains and the forts protecting their core territory. So it's basically a destined to trying to march across here, and the Persian army is putting pressure on Kuwait. The Yemeni army will then start to move, and they will get a medium expand. And what they will do is, so their naval vessels will take these islands to ensure that the Iranian government can't, and they will start to land. They will land right here, and they will start to move along the coast. And you can see they start making rapid gains. However, the Iranian, the Persians will respond in kind and heavily push them back. And then they will build a castle right here to ensure that their flank is protected, to ensure that any naval troops in the UAE cannot cut them off again. So this fort will be known as Fort UAE. At this point, they will expand and they will just slam the Yemeni troops back. And the Yemeni spent a ton of land, they spent a ton of resources on this. They will then seize this fort and nearly encircle a huge army. Alright, since we are at war right now, we're going to do that. The Persian Empire will then do yet another expansion, and they will seize this area. And they are getting close. And the Caucasian army will build yet another castle to defend their area. And they decide where to build it. They know at the end of the day they're not going to be able to defend this whole area. So what they do is they will build a castle right here. Short pressure, because they're being pressured on two sides. These names are terrible, but you know. Sultanate will begin to move. It will get a small expand. And they will start to merge even further. They will move down this river. Southwestern land will expand. Southwestern land is like the only nation on this map who like no one cares about at all. The Omani government literally forgets they exist. Let's see what happens to Kuwait. Kuwait will expand further. So they initially want to push into the Persians, but they know that it's a death trap. They could push here, but they have enough troops stationed that that's nearly impossible. They don't want to push here because they know the Persian military is stationed a ton of troops over here to block them. So they will beeline to these two lakes, and their plan is to cut off the Persian, the Caucasian military. They will be successful for a short period. They will then fail to cut off this land. Then, finally, for the first time in a while, Darius ends up deciding to temporarily leave the capital province, and he is replaced by his second in command. He will then use the army Darius left them to march. He will reconnect his lands. And the Kuwaiti military is encountering heavy resistance. This is not very surprising. Everyone expected the Caucasians to fight, but no one expected them to fight this hard. At this point, Kuwait knows something. They're surrounded by two allies, but the problem is both of these allies won't want this land back. The Turks want to gain all this, and the Yemanis want to gain all this. The Kuwaiti government knows they're not to accept an ultimatum by them eventually. Then the Kuwaiti military will try to move, but then they remember, oh wait, we kinda can't. So they decide to not move, not risk anything. They will instead use a ton of manpower to cut off this area. However, the Caucasians will slam into their line and will encircle one division. They will then encircle another division. So these are two very large encirclements. And they then will start preparing to cut off this river. Because these two rivers are what feeds the Kuwaiti army and their people. The Persians, the 8th division will start. Kuwait will build itself a castle. At this point, they're getting desperate. So they will build it right here to protect their like rivers. This will be known as the river protection. I just now realized I have caps lock. All these names look half capitalized. Kuwait will build yet another castle. It'll be right here. It's designed to protect the Caucasian push. Kuwait will just keep on moving and then it'll get a small split. The split will occur in the Qatar UAE region. It becomes known as the Second Qatar UAE Union will arise. They will be given their iconic teal color. And they will start to make quite impressive landings. Their army will be successful in regaining the UAE coast. It will march up to here. Now at this point, the military of Kuwait is getting concerned. They really just lost a major part of their nation, who may or may not be being aided by your enemy, the Persians. The Omani government may or may not be aiding this, by the way. They will start moving until eventually they will be stopped by the Kuwaiti military, so at this point, it's not looking good for you. The Persian Empire will have a small split, but the Caucasian army will halt it, because basically, at this point, the Kuwaitis attempted to fund insurgent groups, but this failed miserably. Southwestern lands will have a new leader. The Sultanate will also have a new leader. The Sultan is just he has a, let's just say he isn't doing the best mentally right now because his side is losing in a 3v2. We're actually with the 3v3 right now. He's losing in a 3v3 against a war he should be winning because his allies are connected by land, and their allies, these two aren't even connected by land. I mean, they are over here, but they're not over here yet. So they should be losing, but they're winning. The Turkish Sultan, former one at least, will resign or have a mental breakdown and be forced out. The Persians will have a split. However, this split is quite inconsequential. Basically, the Caucasians, they basically want all this land, and the Persian Empire does not care about any of this, so they will unsurprisingly give this to them. Caucasian Iranian vassal. It will be given a color like this. So this new puppet state will be a bit unpopular with the Iranian people, but they don't really care because they're independent still. The Turkish Sultan, under their new Sultan, will start pushing. He will successfully get this river, but he will fail at fully taking out this fort. The Caucasians will get a split. The Caspian government will reemerge. The Caspians were founded by the Cypresians as well as the Anatolians. So the Caspians are the only nation, the only independent nation that still speaks the Anatolian language. Like every other nation speaks either a Turkic or a Cypresian language family. Pretty much no nation except for the Caspians, as well as the Caucasians to an extent, they're the only ones to even speak the language. This new Caspian state will be roughly up to here. This is unfortunate, but I mean, it's a risk. The Persians will build a castle, and they will build it here to ensure the Yemeni government cannot attempt another landing, because they know that the Yemeni government will attempt a landing. The Yemeni troops will start to march, but they will have a split, and this split will occur in the north. So basically, the Cyprians, yes, that's right, somehow they always come back. Somehow, some way, they always come back. It's kind of scary at this point, but they do somehow. Yes, that's right, the Cyprian government for like the third or fourth time this entire series will come back. And, yeah, it's not gonna be pretty. So they will bring back, they will seize this area. And the Yemeni government is very worried because they hate the Cyprians. And much of the horror of the Yemeni government, they will seize parts of Egypt. At this point, I mean, if you're part of the Yemeni government, I would be worried. I mean, they've really taken over this entire area. So yeah, the Yemeni government is worried. So they will have another split. At this point, the Yemeni government is starting to collapse, if you can't tell already. The Egyptians will declare independence. And the Egyptians are back as well. And this will practically just obliterate any Yemeni government because they just lost all their northern area. So they no longer can even send troops to supply their allies. So they're busy fighting in a civil war. Oh yeah, see, Iran 6 is dissolved at this point because, I mean, the joint colonies declared independence and they're at war. Second Yemeni Republic might just end up like the first one because they got taken out by the Cyprians and a revolt in Arabia. The Yemeni president is at this point, his approval rating is dipped. It used to be pretty high. At this point, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. I mean, the Yemeni president is he's done for. His approval rating is like permanently devastated. Oh yes, this also deprives the Yemeni government of the Nile River, which is a major food source for them. So they're planning on blockading the part of the Nile River. As you can see, it does not expand into the oceans, at least on this map. So, given this, yeah, it might be over for Yemen. I think it will be, because at this point, the Yemeni government is fractured severely. They're on the way out at this point. If they don't leave the war soon, then their whole nation's going to implode. But the Yemeni government will keep fighting, and that is because they are desperate to just get something, victory. As you can see, the Egyptians are huge. This huge mass is a group of angry Ethiopians, a group of angry Egyptians, Cyprians. They're all united in taking out the Yemeni government. The Yemeni government has done so much harm to them that all they want is for them to be obliterated. Oh yes, I figured I'd mention this by the way, but Cassie she hates the Cyprians because the Cyprians hate her because she was the main force who they were the main force who she won against. Nearly all the battles she fought was against the Cyprians. So yeah, given this, finally, as you can tell, the Yamani government is done. They're done for. So as a result, the Yamani president is this this disposed. He is forced to resign, and he is replaced by President Ali Bashir. I probably terribly misspelled that. The Caspians will have a small split, but this will not happen. So if you're from Yemen, then at this point you're once again you're dead. You're not gonna come back. They will make a fortress in desperation, but it's at this point the Yemeni Empire is collapsing. The president is about to be disposed again. So what becomes known as the Egyptians formerly become the anti-Yemeni forces, also known as the AYF. The AYF is well supplied and well funded. Now, by who? No one knows. They may or may not be funded by the remnants of the Cyprian government. Because Cyprians, they may or may not be hiding out somewhere. The Persians didn't fund them right before anyone asked. The Omanis will declare independence. The Omani government has wanted independence for a while, and they get it. They just keep building castles in desperate attempt to defend themselves. As you can see, they just will not stop building infrastructure. It's not going to do anything now. So now their entire border is covered in forts. This area is defended. These upper areas are defended. Yeah, and then another massive split will hit their government. So what becomes known as the Red Sea Empire will rise up. And at this point, once the Omani government was already basically collapsed. At this point, they're dead. I mean, they're once again, they're never coming back. At this point, the damage has been so severe that they will be forced to sign peace to an extent. What that means is they will be forced to surrender nearly all their Red Sea territory. This includes all of this. This is just embarrassing. The Yemeni president will come on the air, and Yemen will declare it, and Yemen falls into anarchy. The Yemeni government is just forced out of power. Yemen has fallen to anarchy. The president is killed, and now we have a general named General Zadir in charge. Then the Qatari government will have a large expand, and they will use this to take over this area. And this will result in the entrance to the two major rivers that the Kuwaitis rely on being taken over. At this point, the Kuwaiti government is forced to sign peace, and so as a result, the war ends at least. Now, only Turkey is at war. The Yemeni government has been forced into surrender. Qatar UAE has taken over vital Kuwaiti economic areas. The Persians have won their war of independence. The Omanis have become independent. Three major rebellions have just obliterated the Yemeni government. And so given this, the world's in a state of anarchy. The only stable countries right now are Turkey, but even then they're a bit unstable. Caucasia and Persia are the two only unstable countries. Turkish government will not sue for peace because at this point, however, before their armies can start to march, in an event that shocks the Turkish people, a pro-Republican Turkish person will end up assassinating the Turkish leader. As a result, the Anatolian people will rise up and form the Third Anatolian Republic, and the color that meant so much to the Caucasian government, the color that symbolized their nation's founding, the color of the Anatolians are back. The Caucasians will welcome this with open arms. Their people have been restored in the Turkish government, and they will ensure that Turkey is about to collapse. The Turkish Sultanate probably will not survive this war. No one expected something like this. No one. No one expected the Anatolian government to rise up, but they did anyway. At this point, they seize this river. They take over portions. At this point, their plans are simple: take over all of Anatolia for themselves, and so they will. They will secure the eastern part of Said City, and then they plan to march along it later. Their flag is temporarily black to honor the ashes of those who have died from the Turkish tyranny. And Turkish government is in shock, just as the world is. Now, the Caucasians didn't even fund this. The Caucasians didn't fund it. The Persians didn't fund it. No one funded this. It just happened. No one expected it. And at this point, the Anatolians have officially declared their independence. Turkish government is crippled, and as a result, becomes known as the Third Anatolian Republic is formed. They will adopt the iconic yellow flag that the Caucasians now carry. 569 years they've had this flag, the Caucasians, and now the Anatolians have gotten it back. After hundreds of years of oppression by this Turkish Sultanate, it's over. At least that's what they hope. The Turkish government will respond with the leveling of several cities, and they will storm into the areas that the new Anatolian government are attempting to take, but they're not winning at this point. The Turkish government is only doing this in a vain attempt to save themselves. The Anatolians will respond with a large offensive, regaining nearly everything. And then the Said city will be captured, and the Sultan of Turkey is executed. He's executed on live television in front of everyone. The Anatolians will hang him, and he is dead. So, the Sultanate of Turkey collapses, and it now becomes the Turkish. Now becomes known as the Greek Republic. The Greek people living in Turkey have taken over the governance. And they've officially declared a Greek person residing over here to be the new ruler. Will be known as. Give me a second. President Dukakis. The President Dukakis will declare that Turkish government will have a new flag, a teal one, and they will sign peace with the Anatolians. So now the Anatolians are the official rulers of Turkey. And as a result, they're planning on renaming Said City eventually. We're not gonna do it yet though. Right now they're still thinking of how to settle this border disputes. The Anatolian government will sign peace, as will the new Greek government. And now the war for Persia is over. Yemen has collapsed. The Kuwaiti government is crippled. At this point, the only nation who is a global power that left is either the Caucasians or the Persians. Qatar UAE has reformed their government though, and they are doing quite well now. Given this, that's going to do it for today's video. The war that marked so much devastation, so much power changing. It's done. It's over. As a result, the Anatolian government will seek to annex all of this land. The Greeks will be allowed to keep Cyprus, however. They will be allowed to. Because the Turks don't really need it. They don't want Cyprus. They don't want to deal with the Cypriots. The Greeks can. The Greek government will have a split, and this split will only occur in Cyprus. Cyprus will formally declare itself an independent country, and the Cypriotian people that live in the Cypriotians who are living right now in Kuwait, they will move to this new nation. This will be known as the Cypriotian Kingdom. They will have their dark green flag. And they will be led by King Suleiman II. And so at this point, it's over. The Greeks will have their final turn in this video. The temporary leader, President Dukakis, he was only the interim president. He was only there to sign peace. Will be replaced by a new president. That being President Theodore. So given this is the new map of the world. We have, oh yeah, and this land is supposed to be Anatolian. They didn't have enough manpower to take it. The Greeks are going to cede it to them, and the Caucasians are planning on taking it too. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this Doodle Empires video. I certainly did. Hope you all enjoyed. Comment, like, subscribe. I hope to see you all later. That being said, good